Hey guys, Brandon for Brandon's Baseball Cards here. One of my hobby buddies, a guy named Dan, real nice guy. We've become friends over the last several years. He's in the Vintage Wax and Packs on Open group on Facebook, and he was kind enough to send me a pack that is a junk wax pack that somebody along the way tried to fraud some people. It's a resealed 87 Tops rack pack, and there's lessons here because they did a really good job with the reseal. Like, I've been looking and looking and looking, trying to find the area where they have added cards to this pack, and it's tough. It's tough to identify. However, even though this particular whoever resealed this did a pretty darn good job, there's still things that are off, and when in doubt, you need to go with your gut. And if it seems absolutely spectacular of a pack and it hasn't been authenticated, there's usually a pretty damn good reason for it. And this pack out in the wild on eBay, if you didn't know about collation in particular, would be an amazing item, especially if you're a Reds fan. Okay, so let's look at this pack and we'll discuss. Okay, so thanks again, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy. 87 Tops rack pack. Dave Parker on top. Eric Davis on top, Cal Daniels on top, 3 Reds on top. Okay, right away there's the glossy All-Star card that is missing. Okay, not necessarily a red flag on its own. Sometimes those would be missing from packs. Tops would, make a mistake at the factory. But it's not only that there's 3 Reds, but there is that card missing. The glossy that should be there. So that's strange. Right, and if you're seeing this pack on eBay, you should be skeptical, right? Because it's just unlikely. It's not to say it's impossible, but it's unlikely 3 of the same team will be on top, especially when you consider that the glossy All-Star card is missing here. That's too big of a coincidence. And on the back, all 3 cards are Reds. Dave Concepcion, Tom Browning, and Bo Diaz. So 3 different cells, all with red showing front and back. Okay, and what's interesting is that for the most part, the person that resealed this, and again, I've looked closely, and it's tough. It's really tough. There's a few spots where I don't like the crimping up here, but that's not necessarily a sign of fraud. What's interesting is that most of the pack is collated correctly. Okay, Dave Parker, this cell for 87 Tops are E and F sheet cards. Okay, this cell should be C and D sheet, and this should be A and B. All the cards in this rack are collated correctly, except for Eric Davis. Eric Davis is an E sheet card. He should be in this cell. And so I don't know if this was the one cell that was manipulated, or if someone manipulated both of these cells and they happened to get the collation right on this cell. I don't know what the sequence is, and again, I have to look even closer at this pack. I need a really, really bright light to examine this pack in more detail, because again, I've looked and looked and looked, and it's some of these fraudsters are really, really good at what they do. But this is completely wrong. And this is very suspicious that it's missing the All-Star card and they all have the Reds on top. But this, from a collation standpoint, this is the red flag. Okay. But what are the odds that this came out of the Topps factory with 6 Reds players showing, each cell having a Red player, right? You have to be very, very, very skeptical when you see packs like this, because even though it's tough to tell, I mean, I could send this to Steve, and I'll bet money if anyone wants to take bets on whether or not it gets authenticated. In fact, I might send it to him just so maybe he can point out the areas that he sees that are wrong with it. That would be, normally I don't ask him if he says there's an issue, because, it's not, all that matters is the pack isn't authenticated, but this could be a chance to learn, to really learn about what some of these fraudsters are doing. I've been feeling this area. It's tough. It's really tough. But that's what I have for you guys. Kind of a deep dive into this pack. I hope this has been interesting. Be wary out there. Even with junk wax, be wary. It sounds sad. It is sad that there's fraudulent junk wax out there, but there is. And thanks again, Dan. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being one of the good guys in the hobby. Really nice guy, and I'm glad we're friends. Thanks for sending it. Hope you all have a great rest of the week. Keep collecting vintage and open baseball, everybody.